fists together. I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Red and yellow, brown, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight. Everybody is somebody. Stop the violence. Save the children. Stop bullying. Save the children.
Hold your head high. Stick your chest out. You can make it. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sonia Whitaker, National Education Policy Director for Push for Excellence. And on behalf of the Rainbow Push Coalition, we'd like to thank you so very much for giving of your gift of time and joining us here on our Saturday morning forum. We'd like to thank Word Network for bringing you to us and us to you. And yet we recognize that there are many of you that are watching us right now on Facebook Live. If you're doing so, we'd like to ask that you like our page. And for the many of you that are watching us right now on YouTube Live, we'd like to ask that you subscribe to our page so that you may gain immediate access to all of the content that we have in store for you. And speaking of content, we can't do this without you. We need your support. And in fact, we've made it really easy for you to give. You can simply take that cell phone of yours and hold it to the QR code on your screen and give right on the spot. Or you can take that same cell phone and simply text the word push to 41444. Text push to 41444. We even have a third option for you. You can go to our website at rainbowpush.org and simply click on the donate button. Now, before we get into the content of our show today, we want to thank Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson on a job well done. So there you have it. Whatever you do right now, do not move. Do not touch that dial. Sit tight. We'll be right back because the push is on.
Rainbow Push family, I want to say thank you very much for tuning in. But before I let go, to use the language of Frankie Beverly, I want to remind us not just of the price that was paid for us to have the right to vote. I want to remind us of the possibilities we can birth when we exercise the right to vote. Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr., I cannot say it enough, between the campaigns of 84 and 88, registered somewhere between 7 and 9 million new voters. They were registered by Reverend Jackson. It's never been done before. It had never been done before, and it has not been done since. But because of what he did in 84 and 88, do you know those voters changed the Democratic Party? Do you know that those voters ushered in a new generation of activist politicians who began to change and transform politics in this country? But of course, as Reverend Jackson has pointed out, with every bit of progress, there is always pushback. But Reverend Jackson says, we've never lost a fight that we did not get in, but we can't win a fight if we're not in the fight. Voting is one of the weapons we have to fight the good fight for the democracy, for liberty and justice for all. And so please recognize, if Reverend Jackson could register between 7 and 9 million voters, what can we do in our time? Voting is not just because we're motivated by what was done back then. I am energized about what we can do right now. Right now, we can take back our education system. Right now, we can fight for a living wage. and not just minimum wage. Right now, we can fight to ensure that everyone has access to the same health care that politicians in Washington, D.C. have access to. Right now, we can fight to ensure that we do not, in a real sense, stand for injustice here or abroad, but we fight for freedom and liberty and justice for everyone here and around the world. Right now, we can do that. We can do that with the power of our vote. One of the things I don't necessarily like quoting, but it just lets us know of the power of the vote. 1980, Ronald Reagan was running for president of the country, and he went to the moral majority and said to them, listen, I know you can't endorse me, but I can endorse you. And Ronald Reagan spent his 8 years in office fighting for the vision of the moral majority. If Reagan can do that, or the moral majority can force Reagan to do that, what can we do with the power of our voice exercised in our vote? What can we do with the power of our vision exercised through our vote? We can transform this nation. Reverend Jackson would say we can make America better. But when we do it, it's because we keep hope alive. I keep hope alive through the power of the vote. I think my distinguished brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated would put it like this: a voteless people is a hopeless people. We are a hope-filled people. And since we are hope-filled, let's make sure we handle our business at the ballot. This is no time to give up on democracy. This is the time to double down and fight for democracy. Get engaged, get involved, speak up, speak out, articulate your vision through the power of the vote. That indeed is one way we keep hope alive.
People often ask, why should I vote? And to be honest, voting is a sacred right. And if it wasn't so important, then there would not have been a distinctive effort to minimize one's vote. So while the 2024 election may seem far away, it really is right around the corner. So I want to encourage you to start thinking to yourself, do I have my voter plan together? Do I know where my polling location is? Do I know who's going to be on the ballot this election? And don't just ask this question of yourselves, but I want to encourage you to talk to your family and friends about this as well. Because here's the thing, voting is the one way in which you can actively participate in bringing about the change that you want to see. But to be completely honest with you, voting alone is not enough. It is so important that those of us who can and are willing to do so, that we put forth the effort to assist those in our community who might have challenges at the polls. So if you are interested in assisting others, then I would like to encourage you to participate in election protection. There are so many components to the election protection program. We have a hotline of volunteers who answer questions for those who call in, but we also have an election protection program where we have poll monitors and we have poll watchers. And this is where you can actively participate in your community and be at the polls to assist voters and to monitor what's going on at all times. If this is something that you are interested in, please reach out to us at Common Cause Illinois, where we would love to talk to you more about the program that we have. As I mentioned, it seems like the primaries are far away, but they are just around the corner. So make sure that you're prepared and that you have everything together for you to be able to vote. And the very first step that you need to take to do that is make sure that you're registered. But please be an active participant in this upcoming election, and don't just stop at voting. try to find some of the various ways that you can get involved, whether it's election protection or other programs that might be out there. And if you yourself are a voter who runs into issues at the polls, then please be sure that around election time and during early voting that you reach out to the hotline 866-OUR-VOTE, and someone will be there to assist you.
My name is Deja Nickerson. I am a fourth-year agricultural business student from Chicago, Illinois. And today we have Gabby. Gabby, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Gabriella Gatherite. I am a senior at National Louis University. I major in culinary management in Chicago, Illinois.
Nice to meet you. Well, quick question. So today we're talking about voter registration and what we know about voter registration, why it's important, and what are some things that Push Excel and the Rainbow Push Coalition can do. So my first question of the night would be, do you know anything about voter registration or what it is?
Well, the only thing that I do know about it is about the 15th Amendment and how they extended the right to vote to all races and men. So, which means that we can vote as Black people and things like that.
Okay, that's good to know. Have you ever voted before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, what was that experience like?
It was pretty interesting. When I went into the voter registration place, because I reside in the suburbs, it was very interesting because I did not do my research on the candidates. So I didn't know what I was basically putting the name in for, to be honest. So
I had
it
a
was
similar
pretty
experience.
interesting.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was gonna say that I had a similar experience. I also was voting, and it got down to like the smaller people, like not the smaller people, but the smaller elections, and I was like, oh, I didn't know I was gonna also be voting on these things too. But it is really good to do your research and to know beforehand, especially because these things do make a great impact on not only our community, but our society as a whole. And for that reason, what is your personal reason of voting?
Can you repeat the question again?
What is your reason for voting?
Well, my reason for voting is to basically let my voice be heard. And my voice can be heard through voting for particular candidates and doing the research and fighting for what matters to me the most when I do support these different candidates that are basically within the where I live, the mayor and things like that, so that they can fight for us within the bigger elections and things like that, instead of voting for other people that don't want to hear our voice, well, my voice. So
That's a very good point. And what do you think would help spread awareness maybe on your campus that you can do, or Push Excel or anyone could do to contribute to spreading that awareness?
I think that, just have something where us young adults can be involved in. Sometimes with the certain things that we do, we feel as though we're not involved, and we basically feel as though it's just something that we shouldn't do, like voting. Most people don't think that it's a necessary issue for us to vote. When we've seen, well, I haven't seen, but you've seen these different documentaries of where our ancestors had to fight to even get the right to vote. They were beaten to death just to, try to vote, which, you can see that's another motivation for me to vote and go in there for my voice to be heard. And I just feel as though if we have more awareness on campus, and if we spread the awareness through the social media that we as young adults are on, like Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter, so others can know most of the stuff that is out nowadays on social media does not involve certain events now. They're just things that pass by and most people don't pay attention to it. So
I definitely agree. Social media and going out on campus is a great impact to our generation and the generations behind us, because that's how we can easily get their attention on the importance of the issue. Do you think that it would be a really good thing to maybe like host an event or to just have a panel, just, expressing those concerns? Because I do think that many people need to hear these things.
yes, I do feel as though that I should have a panel or something at my campus. So the campus that I'm at, it's 2 campuses. Since I go to culinary school, they bought my school. So I think on the major campus, it'll create more awareness and not just the smaller campus.
Interesting. That's good to know, especially because, like you said, it's kind of spread throughout the city. So kind of hitting the bigger target kind of gets everyone involved and not, like you said, the smaller colleges, even though they are very important. But if we could hit a bigger impact, that'd be better. Do you have any further comments or questions or concerns?
That we need to exercise our right to vote so that we can see changes happen in the state that we live in and even in the country. So please exercise your right to vote.
Well, thank you for sharing that message. I appreciate you taking the time to sit and interview with me. And I greatly appreciate your thoughts, and I love to talk further.
Push Excel's goal is to inspire students to strive for excellence in education in spite of personal, family, and community challenges that they might experience. How do we do this? By advocating for educational policies that guarantee equal funding for all students without regard to race or economic standing. By engaging parents, students, and teachers in pursuing high-quality education and striving for educational excellence at every level. And by forging partnerships with community-based and public sector stakeholders in education. Now, Push Excel is a national model program with the purpose of connecting principals, parents, popular personalities, and students in a bond and to support students at every level on the educational ladder. Now, we want you to become a member of the Rainbow Push Coalition and Push Excel. Your annual membership can help us to change policies that impact students, colleges, and universities all around the country. So step up and sign up today. Membership is only $35, and if you're a student or a senior, $15. Just go to our website, rainbowpush.org, and push join to become a member or push donate to support the Push Excel program. You can also text the word Push Excel, that's PUSHEXCEL, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give us any amount that you feel comfortable giving or call us at 773-256-2775. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you. And remember to keep hope alive.
In the streets of his hometown of New Rochelle, Richard Roundtree is remembered by the community that built him.
He laid the path for so many other actors. Black Panther couldn't exist without Shaft, essentially, right? As well as many other kind of prominent black actors that were basically paved the way because of Richard Roundtree. I think he should be called an icon, and absolutely everyone should know who he is.
Richard Roundtree's portrayal of Shaft was a game changer.
Who's the cat that won't cop out when there's danger all about?
He was tough, stylish, and smooth. He not only revolutionized the genre of crime drama, but shattered racial barriers and became a cultural icon. Roundtree's success ushered in a new era for black actors, writers, and directors, and paved the way for greater inclusivity.
Could you feel the impact on the black community at that time, playing that role?
Constantly reminded of it, and
I had an experience at LAX, and this guy was watching me. He says, "I'm from Alabama," and as a kid, we had to sit up in the balcony, and because of watching that film, made me strive for something more than Alabama.
For the past 30 years, Roundtree has been battling breast cancer. His manager says just 2 months ago he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Richard Roundtree may have left us at the age of 81, but he's also left an indelible mark on the world, reminding us of the power of representation.
Good morning, I'm Harry Porterfield.
For such a public man, a household name in Chicago, Harry Porterfield preferred attention be paid to his subjects.
To bring some awareness on the problems that veterans are having.
The city's unsung heroes and achievers.
Irving Rosenblum, seller of formal wear, and someone you should know. Richard Davenport III, junior karate champion, and someone you should know.
Tonight, Someone You Should Know, the series he brought to his viewers for decades.
Don't let them just come at you.
Harry found them fascinating and worthy of a spot in a newscast, and was certain you would agree. His judgment was impeccable.
In this, the first year the school has been involved in robotics.
He started in the news business behind the scenes as a writer in the early 1960s. But with his warmth and gravitas and that rich voice, he was destined to be on the air.
Well, Chicagoans who haven't seen their new property tax bill yet.
The polls will close in less than an hour, so let's get the final projection of voter turnout from Carol Krause.
For years, he and Bill Curtis anchored CBS 2's 6 p.m. newscast, a solid #1 in the ratings.
Kind of cold and windy up there that day.
But in the mid-1980s, station management made an ill-advised move, pulling Harry from the anchor desk. At a time when there were few black anchors in Chicago, the African-American community was incensed. Rainbow Push led a boycott of Channel 2. Harry went to ABC 7.
He said he's sorry, but that's not enough for some community activists.
In 2009, Harry returned to CBS 2, anchoring the 11 a.m. newscast and continuing Someone You Should Know.
The students have entered 5 competitions and come back with 5 awards.
It was a long and storied career that made his family proud.
He was a good person, and he, more than anything, wanted to also highlight the good in others. And it is an inspiration to me, the work that he's done and just the impact that he's had on people's lives.
She began playing a church organ when she was just 8 years old. Not like this mighty organ at Chicago's First Baptist Congregational Church.
Inducted into the TV Academy Silver Circle, Harry was characteristically humble.
Given all the people I have profiled who have so selflessly and generously, even in the face of personal hardships, to help others, I find that my efforts seem quite small by comparison.
We're excited to get more people involved in Rainbow Push, supporting the programs of Push for Excellence and the Citizenship Education Fund. If you're interested in impacting public policies, if you believe in the scholarships that we give to thousands of students each and every year, you can become a policymaker by becoming a member of Rainbow Push right now. For an annual membership of $35, or if you're a student or senior, $15, you can help us make a difference in the lives of millions. How do you become a member? Visit our website at rainbowpush.org and press join. Or maybe you'd like to support us. You can text the word PUSH, that's PUSH, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give any amount you feel comfortable giving. You can also call us at 773-256-2775, or go to rainbowpush.org and push donate. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you.
With close to 19,000 migrants already sent here in the past 15 months, Congressman Jackson puts the blame on Governor Abbott's actions. In all, Jackson says 55,000 migrants have been sent to 6 sanctuary cities. In his letter to the U.S. Attorney Merrick Garland, he says in part, quote, "I would argue that Governor Abbott is committing the federal offenses of alien smuggling, domestic transporting, harboring, among other offenses."
There is a process to seek in for asylum seekers to come into the country. They're processed and they are given humane treatment, and you're able to do some sort of background verification. There are loads of children that are coming in by way of Texas. He's circumventing federal law and he's putting them on buses. He's transporting children across state lines. That's child smuggling. You can't do it.
I'm too excited. I can't even hide it. Today I have not only one of my sheroes, but without question, one of our justice generals, not just a warrior, she's a justice general who's been on the front lines fighting for us, fighting for justice, really making a difference, doing just game-changing things. I'm talking about the incredible Melanie Campbell. Melanie Campbell, of course, is the president and CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. She is the queen convener of the Black Women's Roundtable. She is recognized, highly regarded as one of our greatest justice advocates. And right now, I'm excited to have a conversation with Melanie Campbell because of what she is doing in the state of Florida. But not just Florida, she's going to let us know that she is targeting several states as it relates to getting out the vote, voter registration, voter education, voter mobilization. And so to have her in conversation today is something I am too excited about. And then not only Melanie Campbell, we have this phenomenal sister, this amazing woman, Tamiko Mallory, who of course gives leadership to Until Freedom and what she is doing in the state of Kentucky. We know Tamiko Mallory for her work as one of the key leaders of the historic Women's March. But of course, she has not stopped there. She is fighting as an advocate against, as it were, gun violence. She is a proud Black feminist. Not only that, but she is down for peace and for a ceasefire, not only in the Middle East, but especially as it relates to what's going on along the Gaza Strip. And so we have we just got the best today. And so I'm so excited. I want to thank both of you and welcome you to this Saturday morning forum of Rainbow Push. And I especially want to have this conversation with you because you are out here on the front lines. Here you are, Melanie Campbell, in Florida, going up and down the state of Florida, the state governed by someone who evidently is determined to be the grand wizard, Governor DeSantis. And then, Tamiko, you have the nerve to be doing voter registration, education, mobilization in Kentucky. And so it's almost as if you all have decided to go into the belly of the beast. But wait, as challenging as that is, you're doing it in a time, and I'm sure you all have heard this better than I have, but there are a number of people, young people especially, who in light of the decision of this government to take its stand, its very biased stand on what's taking place in the Middle East, and now they're talking about not voting at all. And so here you are registering voters. Here you are educating voters, mobilizing voters. I want to hear from you, and I'll start with you, Melanie Campbell. Well, first of all, talk to us about what you're doing in Florida. I think we all need to hear that. But I'd also like to hear from you. What is your response to those who say, well, why should I vote if our government is doing what they're doing?
Well, first of all, this just made my day. Right? Same. Being here with you, Reverend Dr. Freddie Haynes, and my I want to say my little sister, but my sister.
I take little. I like little.
Tamiko,
That makes me
Mallory,
feel
right?
good.
It just makes my day. I'm a native Floridian, so I'm home. I was born here. I'm from a place called Mims, Florida. But we're in Florida because I feel Florida is ground zero. If you want to know what fascism looks like, could look like in this country, Florida is a shining example.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to come and spend some time, not just come for one day and be here for a rally, but when we were talking to folks over the summer about all the things that were happening in Florida, not that it's the only place where we see our rights and our freedoms taken away, we're also seeing economic opportunity taken away, minority business opportunities taken away. But there are many other states. You can just go to Georgia. They're going after the Freedom Fund for when it comes to how we can fund our own economic freedom. So there's a lot going on, but we felt like Florida was a good way to get started early, because we have people. One of the things Roland talks about all the time, gotta get started. And one of the things that we wanted to do was show up when it wasn't time for the election, so to speak.
Right.
And that has been, especially Dr. Haynes and Tamiko, what's been interesting is the young people that we've really engaged on a lot of the communities where we're following the homecomings, right? So we've been from Jacksonville, Edward Waters University, to Daytona Bethune-Cookman University, down to Florida Memorial. So we went from the top to the bottom, and now we're and in between. Tamiko, we went over to Ocala, and with AJ Owens' mom, and had some conversation with her and others about how to continue to support them.
Yeah.
In Gainesville, and now I'm in Tallahassee for Florida FAMU's homecoming, and then we're going to, by popular demand, I suppose, we're going to come back in Orlando area during the Florida Classic. But the conversations, we've been having a lot of conversations, listening, asking people, what is the concerns? Safety is high on that list, right? But there's a whole list of concerns. But the other part is there is a sense of determination and a sense of fight. Yeah. And you go to a tailgate party, that can be a mixed bag of how people are going to respond. Young people like clamoring to fill out them pledge cards, to talk about what's going on while they're having a party with a purpose. That's been the thing that has been helpful for me in trying to figure out how we support our people on the ground and not reinventing, being able to work, because people are also beat down, right? Yeah. And this work is, I'm beat down. Some days, to be honest with you, right? Just trying to, the fight never ends. But for us, it was a way to go deeper and figure out what's happening. And we will be working the tour throughout the primary season, as well as through the election. But it was really about getting started. Stop talking about we're going to get started, and let's just get started.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll be with you in Orlando. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
You've literally gone from the top of the state to the bottom of the state, registering voters, engaging voters. And that is just so vital, and especially to do it now. That is so powerful. Tamiko, you have taken the fight to Kentucky. Why Kentucky? What are you doing? You've done it against the backdrop of death threats, literal death threats on your life. And yet, Until Freedom opened up an office in Louisville, Kentucky, downtown Louisville, Kentucky. And so talk to us about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what's the message to those who are saying, why vote?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for having us on. today. I joined Melanie in saying it made my day just to see the two of you, to see your faces. The world is so gloomy.
Yeah.
And our friendship, our relationships is really the only thing that I think keeps us going every day, because we're not fighting alone. We have strong soldiers alongside us, and I'm grateful for that. And I do not mind being called little sister. When I was 20 and 30 years old, I didn't want to be called little sister because it felt like it was taking something away from me. You know, I was a big shot at that age. Now that I'm 43, little is all right.
I'm with you, girl.
So, you know, we're back in Kentucky because even though the fight of the summer of 2020 ended, we didn't stop. We have not stopped being in the streets for Black lives, for accountability from police officers and accountability from this system. And we knew when we went to Kentucky, when I say we, I'm talking about my amazing brothers and sisters in Until Freedom, the entire family that you all know, and they love you so much, both of you. And we knew that a Black woman, in order to get justice for her, it was going to take some serious consistency. Right. Not that we are not consistent and engaged in the fight for Black men, because we've been doing that. But Black women often go to the side of the road. The narratives are that, you know, they did something wrong and they deserved ultimately to be killed. And people have literally said that about Breonna Taylor. So we went there and we looked in our mother's eyes and we made the commitment to be with her. And we asked for all of you to support us. With her did not mean that there's an ending date, right? The job must be finished completely. And now that Daniel Cameron, the man who was responsible for getting those officers indicted for killing Breonna Taylor, now that he's running for governor, which means that somehow he believes that he's supposed to be celebrated and get a promotion from the attorney general to governorship, knowing that he disrespected the name and the legacy of a Black woman. And the citizens, all the citizens of Kentucky, deserve to be able to look at those officers and examine through a trial what they did to Breonna Taylor and pay the piper for their wrongdoing. We know it's possible because the feds came in and handed down several indictments for the civil rights violation of Breonna. But Daniel Cameron said, no, he said, I'm with the cops. You know, he said, you know, I didn't find anything wrong. So when we landed in Kentucky, Pookie and Ray Ray lined up to tell us what happened. Right. And what they said in 2020, the Pookie and Ray Rays, is the same story that the Fed said in 2022 or 2023, earlier this year. So that means that the people already knew. And if you are the attorney general of the state and couldn't get the information, there's a problem. There's a disconnect. And we know that he lied. He lied because when he came out, he said after the non-indictment in the grand jury, he came out and said that they could not find any charges. They did not find anything that they could charge these officers with. And he said the jurors did not find charges. The jurors came out, 3 or 4 of them, right after, and the day or two later, and said they were never presented with charges for Breonna Taylor. Her name really came up. They had never received a case for her. So he went in there with an intention not to get an indictment. So with that being said, a part of our work has been to also engage in the political process. We cannot just march and protest and be in the streets and not go to the voting box and make sure that our voice carries over into the political power of Kentucky, which ultimately will spread around this nation. And so we're doing our work in Kentucky, which we believe connects directly to what Melanie is doing in Florida and what you are doing in Texas and what's happening all over this nation, because there is something spreading. It is a dirty, dirty stench that is spreading across this nation. And now we know, which we always knew, around the world. And we have to take every opportunity. I liken it to when you go to the to the carnival. If you ever play the game where the heads pop up and you have to use the thing to hit them down, that's what we doing. We hitting ours in Kentucky, you all in Florida, and everywhere around this nation. We got to pop them down as soon as fascism, racism, sexism, and all of the isms rear its dirty head.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And for what both of you are doing, we are so grateful. Again, you're doing it in Florida and Kentucky. And so, Melanie, talk to us about in this season, why it is so important. Okay, I'm not in Florida, I'm not in Kentucky, but what you all are saying is we need to be politically engaged. We need to vote. Talk to us about what is your message to the persons you are coming in contact with. Why vote, especially right now when it just seems like for some, our vote does not count?
Thank you. Two things for people to know, own their power that ballot, right?
Yeah.
The issues, not the candidates, the issues, so people can see that. The other thing we have, and it's like when Tamiko was talking about, folks they want us to, we're in a time where it's not just marginalized. You say, oh, we're marginalized. No. Folks want to erase us.
Yeah.
Erase us.
Yeah.
So we're like, we won't be erased. We ain't gonna be erased. That's what people want to say. Everybody got a different way twist to how they want to say the words. But when you look at what's going on, every lever of upward mobility and opportunity is being rolled back, either through the courts or through our partisan drawing of lines, or through legislation or governor, this particular governor down here in Florida is using every lever he can to roll back, whether you're talking about business opportunity, voting rights, criminal justice, on and on and on.
Education,
and he's not going to stop. He's going after Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. It don't matter. It's all, but at the end of the day, when you look at, if we can't get it, so you look at the Supreme Court affirmative action, you look at the 8A program is under threat. People are suing for quote unquote discriminatory practices against them for us being able to try to even do things to fund our own freedom.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're saying, hey, are we going to allow our own self to be erased? Black history. My mother was a public school teacher with the Bethune-Cookman after she had 6 of us and graduated in 1965 from Bethune-Cookman.
Wow.
And so when I was growing up, my mom and others, we would learn Black history in the church, but then they were able to, Brevard County, where I'm from, Mims, Florida, is where Harry T. Moore's house was bombed on Christmas in the 50s. And they died from that bombing, not right away for the wife, but they died fighting for what? For voting rights, for doing voter registration, those kinds of things. So the reality, the history of Florida, people know Florida's the South now. Because people see the beaches and all that. But where I grew up, I learned nonviolent direct action when I moved to Georgia. But in Florida, when I grew up, everybody had to have self-defense. The first thing I remember, and where my hometown is a bastion for the KKK. And they came into our hometown. One memory I have growing up was my father, them shooting the Klan out of our hometown because they were coming after a Black man for something he didn't do and telling us to get on the ground. I remember that like it happened yesterday. And so that's where I'm from. And so if you go to my hometown, you feel it.
Yeah.
The hatred has been rebirthed into not just great grandpa and grandma and granddaddy, but the kids. So there's a lot of angst and concern, and people are ready and fired up also to fight. Yeah. And so we're trying to harness that at a time to say, like, not just what's happening in Washington, D.C., which is a mess on its own, but what's going on, how do we fight back where we are? You're in Texas, right? And you think about the states like that have large Black populations. So you go to Georgia, and it's not gonna stop in the South. Oh, what's going on down there? No, baby, it gonna cross right over into your neighborhood. Yeah. So we have to utilize all of our levers. And so the idea is we're stronger together. We have to build strong coalitions. So when Tamiko's in Kentucky, I might not physically be able to be there, but I'm gonna be there. Right. You may not physically be able to be in Florida, but she with me. Right. And we're able to stay connected more so we can see and find the patterns of what's happening. We can't depend on, just the Department of Justice we got to be let me be careful. We have to make sure that we are protecting ourselves and our communities, right? And do what we need to do to fight back, but fight back and win.
Thank you. Tamiko, how would you answer that? What about those who are saying they just don't feel voting matters anymore?
The first thing I would say, I agree with everything that Melanie stated. And I would also say that we cannot invalidate those feelings, right? We cannot look at those individuals and speak down to them, because we all should understand very clearly where people are in this moment. There's a lot of despair. And the last 2 weeks have really, really been terrible in terms of how folks are trying to figure out, if I can't physically get there, I can't do anything, then the only thing I have is to show the people that I'm mad at you. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm not going to vote for you because you didn't do XYZ thing. I do think, though, that once Trump or whomever the nominee is starts talking, a lot of those folks who said they weren't going to vote, they're going to wake up and say, well, wait a minute now, we might have to make some other choices. I think some of it is going to take care of itself, because soon you're going to start to hear the rhetoric. And then what do you do at that point? But I think that I fear that the couch might win. People just staying home. And that's a dangerous place for us to be. I would say that, Freddie, I cannot answer for you, because my honest feeling is that if I could not vote, if I could get away with that and feel good about myself on the day after the election, whatever the circumstances are, I wouldn't do it. I'm telling you, I would not go vote right now with the way that I feel in my stomach, right? If I could get away with that and feel good about it. But I know that I won't. I know better than to allow this moment, not just a moment, but this serious emotional state that I'm in from what I'm seeing around the world to take me off of my game in terms of what needs to be done and what we have to maintain in this nation. A lot of our voting is not so much because there's so much progress, but it has a lot to do with stopping the bleeding. It has a lot to do with making sure that we maintain some level of order and somebody we can talk to when we have issues and concerns, right? Somewhere that we can go. It's not perfect at all. I'm not going to sit here and try to make it sound flowery and make it smell good, because it doesn't. It stinks. It's horrible, the whole process for people. But I think about, and I had this conversation, I was talking to an artist that I won't name because he didn't give me the right to do so. We were talking yesterday, actually, and he said, man, just let them do what they want to do. I ain't voting. Just forget about it. And I said, you're a multi-millionaire. And I may not be that, but I'm privileged as heck as well. We really are not just voting for ourselves.
Right.
There are people living in housing projects and living in impoverished communities in food deserts around this nation, that if we don't vote, if all of us collectively don't make the decision to hold the line, we are going to harm those people who are already suffering. And I said to him, you got to really put your privilege in check, because you don't feel like your kids don't go to those schools where school board elections and city council elections and so on and so forth control what they're learning. Your children are homeschooled. So you don't see, feel, and understand what is happening in our society and why our votes are so important. And I think by the time I finished over a few cocktails, we came to a good understanding of, you know what, maybe I might have to go to the polls, but I can't be mad at the brother for feeling like, what for what?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Let me ask this, and I want to thank both of you, what you're doing. I lift both of you up in prayer all the time, but I also am so grateful to you because you are literally on the front lines fighting for us, remaining connected to us. And my question now is, as we close, how can we at Rainbow Push, how can we around the country support the work that you are doing? I'm going to be in Florida. I'm coming back to Kentucky. What else can we do to support the great work that you're doing?
Work together.
Right.
You know, work together.
Yeah.
Right. Help get us to understand that this is a moment that we cannot be in silos.
Mm-hmm.
We have to come together, not monolithic. That's not where I'm coming from. But if we came together and communicated more, then we're going to see where our strategy can be that much stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's, when I saw you, you know, 60th March on Washington, I'm going to say it to you again. I need your help. We have got to come together.
Yeah.
And if we don't, our young people, you know, are going, your grandbabies, you know what I mean? They're not going to have a shot.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be all right. Right? You know, if I wanted to go make a millionaire, I'd let that go a long time ago. I'm fine. But my nieces and nephews are not fine. My great nieces and nephews are not fine. And when I'm down here in Florida and I'm seeing how my people are struggling down here and nobody comes through because they're in a red zone, you know, so just let that be known. And that's why I knew I had to personally come home and try to do all I could to lift up the folks who were doing the work, but also get us to come together more. And for me, I don't see, if we don't, then I don't know what it looks like. And I have deep concern that we're not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
You're on point. You're on point. How can we help, Tamiko?
I agree with that. And I'm going to do the thing that, you know, I hate to do, but I'm going to ask for some money because I need it. You know, I need it. And until freedom, the next few weeks, we have to eat, sleep, and stay in another state. And we need help to be able to do that. People leaving their homes, leaving their families. So we're asking, please go to untilfreedom.com and give what you can. We have one woman who sends $50 every week. And that $50, I look for it. And for some reason, it didn't come 2 weeks. I was panicking about this $50 because I know that it's coming from a place. When you send somebody $50 of your hard-earned money every week, it's coming from a place. And so if you got $10, if you have $5 to invest in Until Freedom, we need that $5. It helps us. It'll help pay for somebody's meal or a plane ticket or something to get us there to be able to do the work that we're doing in Kentucky and beyond.
Beautiful. And what's that website one more time? Untilfreedom.com. That's untilfreedom.com. And I just want to say congratulations to my big brother. I'm little sister, little Tamika, to my big brother, Freddie Haynes, the Reverend Dr. Freddie Haynes. Thank you so much, Freddie, for heeding the call and for taking on the responsibility. Because when you first said yes, I said, what in the world? Freddie, he too old to be taking on all this additional stress, because you know Black folks stressful, okay? But I'm so glad you did it, because Reverend Jackson deserves his legacy to be maintained, the great work that he's done by someone like you. And we are so proud of you, and so ready to just watch you continue to blossom in the work that you do on behalf of our people. Thank you.
And I'm going to say ditto, 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 ditto. and so such a time as this. And I thank you for taking that additional, I was married to a preacher once, so I know it's hard to do all of it. But we need your prophetic voice even more in your leadership and your intellect and your strategy. And Tamiko, I'm there for you, sis.
I know. Thank you.
And I'm bad about asking for money too, but I want to make sure folks I'll be okay. I always need money, but I want to make sure that folks focus on what you're doing down there in Kentucky. That's important.
Melanie just sent us some money. Melanie sent us $5,000 a few weeks ago, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
That's amazing. And again, I just love this motto of us not working in silos, but instead working together because the work is so great. Melanie's in Florida, where a famous Floridian, Mary McLeod Bethune, said, hey, with one finger I may get your attention, two perhaps, but let me organize them into a fist. And that's power right there. And so our power is in coalescing. Our power is in coming together. So I thank both of you for the work that you're doing. Listen, we're here for you. Rainbow Push is in this with you. Of course, all of us know that the historic campaigns of Reverend Jackson in 84 and 88 registered millions of voters. A record number of voters were registered between those two campaigns. We can do no less in 2023, 2024, and moving forward. So I thank you for how you are carrying that legacy. I thank you for the great work that you are doing. And I just got to say, sisters, you're doing it. And in the words of the old school song, we got to give our sisters a standing ovation. So I salute you. I thank God for you. And we are with you. God bless you.
All right,
we love you.
Thank you. We're with you. We're with you.
Right.
Thank you. That means everything.
Thank you.
So thank you for joining us on our Saturday morning forum. Be sure to visit our website at rainbowpush.org. You'll also want to visit all of our social media platforms so that you can gain additional information about all that we have going on in the organization. And equally important, we appreciate your ongoing support. Feel free to take that cell phone of yours and hold it to the QR code on the screen and give on the spot. Or take that same cell phone and text the word PUSH to 41444. Or you can simply go to our website at rainbowpush.org and click on the donate button.
We are sanctuary. We are a sanctuary.
When I think of Rainbow Push, I think of two words: social justice.
Education advocacy.
Political empowerment.
Freedom and equality.
Corporate partnership.
Stop the violence. Save the children. Don't get in. Shut it down. If we don't get in, shut it down.
Political change.
Inclusion, evolution. Progress, justice.
Jesse Jackson.
Keep hope. Keep hope alive. Alive. Keep hope. Keep hope alive. Alive.
We want to be bridges to end these cultural gaps.
We're going forward. By hope, not backwards, by fear.